the telephone poles that were holding it up were moving at the base of the ground. And okay, this is no longer safe. I don't know that you ever really get to profit now. So we were handling our breeding and we're finishing because we wanted to fully control our genetics and our inputs from day one. With 100% grass-fed with South Poles, it's a 2-year process. Typically, like feedlot in the conventional side, they're usually able to do that at 9 to 10 months of age. So they're utilizing byproduct and soy and corn to get them fat and get them fat really quickly. And that's how they're shortening their time to get their profit. Sure. Direct from the farmer, anywhere from 35 to 5,000 a piece. But I think I can see that little newborn calf in the back over there. So we have to schedule out all of our butcher dates 1 to 2 years in advance. So I not only had the investment in raising that duck to a laying point, but now it's just gone and I'm not getting the eggs off of it. Yeah. And we have a very loud chicken over here. And we woke up one morning and they were gone. And we spent all day searching for them. Couldn't find anything, couldn't find a track, nothing.
And you guys Airbnb this out? Or?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
It's on Hip Camp as well.
Okay.
And so we try not to really live off of that a whole lot. And we utilize more of our camping and things like that as more of our
your living expenses.
Yeah.
Good morning, guys. Today we are just outside of Murfreesboro, Tennessee, over here at Brass Horn Coffee, getting our morning coffee. About to head down to a farm about 30 minutes from here called Crossing Creeks Farms. From what I understand, they raise grass-fed beef, heritage pigs, poultry, and probably a lot more than that. But they have agreed to let us come and take a tour of the farm, give us some behind the scenes of their operation. It should be really fun, and it's a bit of a special trip as well because my family and I were actually taking a trip from Greenville, South Carolina all the way to Waco, Texas to go see the eclipse that's coming up here in just a few days. And so as we make our way over, we're stopping to see a couple farms along the way and do some farm tours and some videos for you guys. So yeah, if you're excited for taking a look at some of the behind the scenes on that, stay tuned. Today should be great, should be informative. But yeah, we'll be there in just a little bit. All right. All right, guys, we just arrived here at Crossing Creek Farms. Elizabeth is one of the owners. She's going to give us the grand tour today. But man, check out this beautiful property they have. It is something else. Look at this. This is just gorgeous. And I think the name actually comes from the fact that we had to cross 2 creeks to get in here. Put 2 bridges over some beautiful creeks down there. I'll try to get some footage of in a little bit. But apparently they bought this property and it didn't even have access, and they've kind of done all of this since they got started. So I think this is gonna be a really cool episode. I'm excited to hear more about their story and more about their farming practices. This is their cool little farm store right here. Looks really nice inside. I'm sure you guys will get a peek at that in just a few, but yeah, Crossing Creek Farms out in Middle Tennessee. If you're ever out here, definitely come out here and take a look at it. All right, stay tuned.
Pizza dough, and I want to change the small enchiladas just to enchiladas. So.
Hello.
Hey. Hi.
I know, look at this.
How are you guys? Good, how are you? Hey, you coming? You gonna make it? Hi.
This is my wife, Jackie.
Hey, Jackie. I'm Elizabeth.
Well, super nice to meet you.
So nice
Very
to
cool.
meet you.
And thank you again for having us.
Thanks for coming out.
For sure.
Yeah, this is great.
So this is the farm store.
This is the farm store. This
Okay.
is my dad back here.
Oh, nice.
Reed.
Hey, sir. How's it going?
They, so it's my parents live here on the farm with my husband and I and our boys, and so we all started the farm together over a decade ago.
Wow.
And so this is our farm store where we sell all of our products direct to consumer, as well as a lot of other local like-minded products and other just convenient items that are cleaner ingredients, more organic-minded, holistic kind of things.
Okay.
So
So not everything in here you guys are producing yourself. Some of it's from other cooperative farms and that kind of thing? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah. So we do almost everything that's in the case here, the freezer case here. Obviously, we're not doing the jumbo shrimp or the salmon that's coming from a fisherman in Alaska.
Wow.
But all of the take and bakes are coming out of our commercial kitchen. We do bone broths. They're made with our bones. All the meats are here. So we do beef, pork, chicken, turkey, and chicken eggs year round. And the store is open year round. And then we have like local organically grown vegetables that are in here seasonally, lettuce, microgreens, carrots, things like that. And then we have kind of a bath and body section.
Oh, very cool.
The soaps are made with our cow's milk. The dish soap's made with our tallow. As well as the face bar is made with our tallow as well. So we have local handmade candles and made of beeswax and things of that nature.
That's super cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this is like...
This is up my alley.
Hey girls, make sure you're being careful.
Yeah.
This is our dream. Like this is that's one of the cool things about doing this.
Yeah.
You guys are only our second farm that we've toured. We have, like I told you, we have one more tomorrow in Memphis, and then on the way back we're gonna try again for Potts.
Yeah.
And then that guy Bill Allen. Yeah. And then I have like a handful this summer, but this is the coolest thing because the multi-generational farm thing is the vision. As I'm sure you're well aware, it's very expensive to buy land nowadays.
Totally expensive.
And
not just the land. Obviously when we bought our land 10, 11 years ago, it was cheaper than it was now, but it was still expensive for us to go into.
Sure.
But then the overhead of farming in general, especially to do livestock and the larger size doing beef, the overhead is much larger because the infrastructure is needed. You need a full-size cattle barn and chutes and trucks and trailers and all of those things. Where if you start with chickens, yes, there is still expense in providing a chicken coop, but it's much lower than starting with beef. So we usually don't recommend people start with beef.
That makes
but
sense.
That's what we jumped into head first.
So y'all jumped straight into beef, like
We
straight.
did.
Oh my goodness.
We did, yes. But my husband and I both were kind of out of the horse industry, and so we were more comfortable with large animals. That's kind of our niche. That's kind of what we do. And so large animals was more easier for us to just walk into because we had a large animal experience.
Okay.
And I went to school for agriculture, and so I had cattle experience and things like that. So that was where we were more comfortable with.
I see.
And that was what we needed first for ourselves. So we were looking for 100% grass-fed, grass-finished beef. And at the time in the area, we just couldn't find it. So we actually started it in beef about 15 years ago before we had the land. My dad invested in registered South Bowl cattle, beef cattle. And we leased a family friend's farm in Cookeville, Tennessee. So it's ended up being like a good hour and a half-ish from here.
Okay.
And so he helped us manage and learn and start. He didn't have regenerative farming experience, but he had grown up farming. And so we got to kind of learn with him. He really helped guide us in the beginning with things and whatnot. And so we did that before we actually had our farm. Then we got the land, how to fix all the fencing, watering systems, electricity for fencing, get all of that infrastructure up, and then move the herd down here.
I see. So that was kind of a little bit of like a segue for you guys to where you're jumping in the deep end, but not like with no float or anything. You had some experience and a little bit of knowledge that helped you get this thing off the ground. Is that like a fair assessment?
Yeah, kind of for sure. Like it was a way, we knew we needed to start, and we knew that while we were, it actually took us a long time to find the property that we could afford in the size that we could afford it. And so in those years, it was okay, let's just start somewhere. And so we started with that initial investment in just a small foundation herd of heifers and a bull. And
what's a small foundational herd of heifers?
For us, I mean that's different for everyone, and depending on what you have to invest and how much land you have to put towards it. But I think my dad initially bought 10 to 15 heifers and one bull. So it was decent. It wasn't like we just started with 2 or 3. It was a decent size, but we weren't buying like 100.
Yeah.
We knew we were going to have to breed up to the numbers that we needed, because we could not make that huge investment where we needed to be initially.
Sure.
So just kind of bought a nice small group of foundational heifers that, and then a bull, and they were bred. And so started over on that family friend's farm, which was a huge blessing to us to be able to have a place to go to start. And so we did that for a few years, which also gave us that freedom. When we did purchase this, we weren't necessarily in a rush to immediately bring the cattle here.
Got it.
This needed a lot of work when we got here. There was one old barn and miles of barbed wire, and we knew we didn't want barbed wire fencing. So we took it all down by hand and spent every weekend doing it out in the cold and everything. And
I heard I read on the website that you guys didn't even have access over the creeks.
We didn't even have access. There wasn't even a driveway in.
Wow.
So we actually, if it flooded, we could drive through the creeks if it was dry enough. But if they were full, we couldn't drive through them.
You're stuck.
And our neighbor was kind enough to let us use her bridge and driveway. There was still kind of a at the time, she owned the 30 acres next to us, and it used to be one whole farm, one whole track. And so there was still an access way up, but we had to go through the pastures to get up here. So now, last spring, we had the opportunity to purchase that 30. She passed away. She was a wonderful neighbor, and she wanted to see it go to us, which was so kind, and so we were able to have the opportunity to purchase it. So now it's all back into one track.
I saw also that you guys do hosting for like RVs. That's pretty neat. How's that been?
That's been really cool. It's been a huge blessing to the farm. It actually was a big chunk of helping us get my husband here full time.
Really?
He farmed we farmed full time, and he worked full time in Nashville in commercial construction.
Oh wow!
So it was a big part of making this profitable enough that we could actually feed ourselves.
Okay.
So
now, do y'all do that through like Airbnb or?
We've done Airbnb and Hip Camp. We're part of Harvest Host, but most of our bookings currently are going through CampSpot. So whether that's from our website or from CampSpot, you can find our RV sites.
Very cool.
But yeah, we have a handful of just really nice premium RV sites, and then we also have open air cabins that are seasonal. That are really kind of fun, different stay. And then we're working on finishing up an Airbnb house on the farm, which we've not actually announced yet, but it's almost done.
All right, guys, keep that on the down low.
Yeah, it's not there yet, but we're really close. Hopefully this month we'll finish it up and have it live.
Okay, very cool.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we can follow you around and see what we get into.
Okay, sounds good.
They've been cooped up in the car so much.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they're
enjoying it.
Totally ready to play something.
So I see there's all of the structures, the barns and that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Did you guys put all this here? Was any of it here before when y'all first got here?
It wasn't here. Where there was no homes, there was an old barn that we remodeled and used as long as we could.
Oh, wow.
For several years, and then eventually the telephone poles that were holding it up were moving at the base of the ground, and so we said, okay, this is no longer safe, but we had to have like a hay barn, we had to have a cattle barn. Those all didn't happen at once. Those happened as we had the cash flow for them.
Okay.
That part is more recent, which is our horseback riding facility where lessons are done.
Oh, wow.
Monday through Saturday. And so that was our most recent add-on, but it's all just kind of came as we could do it.
Sure.
And there were a couple years where we didn't have a cattle chute here, and it was challenging to do our operation and do it well. And
Wow.
so
what is a cattle chute?
the cattle chute would be, well, right here actually. This is the back part of it here. This is the tub, and then the chute is going up that
okay.
direction. And so this is kind of the back side of where we hold all of our extra things. But in here is our working facility for the cattle. So a couple times a year we need to bring the cows up. We have a scale here on this platform.
Oh, wow.
So they can come in, we can get a weight on them. They go through it to the head catch, which is where we can get an ear tag on them, which is our identification for who they are. We can do an overall health check, and we also can would castrate any bulls that need to become steers, those sort of things. And so to be able to have a place to safely handle them, this is also where we can load them safely from field to trailer for if they're going to butcher or they're being sold as heifers or whatever it may be. We've got to have some kind of facility to handle them. They're large animals.
Yeah.
It's not like a chicken where we're just going to pick
them up and take them
go. So this has been a huge blessing to have. But in the beginning, in the first few years, we were just scrappy and
oh my goodness,
did it without it.
Just chasing them around and trying to wrangle them up.
Yeah, it was really challenging to
Wow.
take panels and kind of get them into where you need them to be, corral them where you need them to be. But
so this helps, like, basically just bring them into single file, and then you guys can lead them and guide them through this process.
yeah, most of them, once they've gone through it once or
Mind if I
twice,
walk around?
they go ahead. Once they've gone through it once or twice, they kind of know the drill. And South Poles are great. They're super docile.
Okay.
So they're easy to work with. They are not really crazy for the most part. But we just got done with our spring session, so they've already been through here, and any calves from last year have been weighed, made sure their tags are on properly, that we know exactly who's who, keeping track of who's challenging. They all look the same.
I see.
So,
okay.
and who do they go with? Who's their mom? All those kind of things. So, yeah, that's what this barn is for. Is that? But
Okay. Now, one of the things I'm curious about, so like for cattle, what is the life cycle for how you guys? I think if I understood right, you started with the herd, and then you breed them to build your herd up, and then just kind of take us through, if you don't mind, what it looks like to raise cattle to the point of how do you get to profit, that kind of thing.
sure. So I don't know that you ever really get to profit. No.
Okay. That's what I hear from farmers for the most part.
So we're doing what's considered a cow-calf operation. So we are handling our breeding and we're finishing. So a lot of farms aren't doing both. A lot are maybe they're buying calves from a cow-to-calf operation and they're finishing them out to beef, or they are the cow-to-calf operation and they're selling
to a beef
calves.
finisher. Okay.
We do both because we wanted to fully control our genetics and our inputs from day one.
Okay.
But that limits the amount of beef that we can produce because part of our land is being taken up by our breeders. So, but we also have double-sided income happening. So we do beef with 100% grass-fed with South Poles. It's a 2-year process from birth.
Okay.
So, so to kind of put that in perspective, typically like feedlot in the conventional side, they're usually able to do that at 9 to 10 months of age, get to the same weight that we have to do in 2 years.
Oh, wow.
To do on a natural 100% grass-fed diet. So they're utilizing byproduct and soy and corn to get them fat and get them fat really quickly. And that's how they're shortening their time to get their profit. Sure. So that's what it takes for us to do on the beef side of it. As far as longevity on our cows, so our moms, some of those original heifers that my dad bought 15 years ago are pregnant right now and going to have babies.
Oh, wow.
So that's the beauty of South Poles. That's not in every breed, but South Poles, we're breeding for longevity. So it may be an initial very expensive, feels like it's very expensive startup to buy those heifers, but it's because our goal is that they are with you for a really long time.
So they can continue breeding for quite a while. Okay.
Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
it's well on the bull side as well. And we have bulls that are easily breeding 10 years and up.
Okay.
without any problem. But our moms stay with us for quite a while.
So if you don't mind me asking, what does a typical, like for one South Pole heifer, what does that cost to, like when you got started?
Constantly different.
Okay.
They're really, really popular right now. So, and they have been for the last few years, and that's great that the breed is gaining traction.
Sure.
They're smaller. They're meant to be that long-term animal for you, but they are going anywhere from just direct from the farmer, anywhere from 35 to 5,000 a piece, but then
Oh my.
upwards at auctions. They're getting up there at auctions. So
Wow.
it's an investment to start with them, but
Yeah.
the goal is that they're with you long term, so you're not constantly turning. What's more expensive is me turning over heifers. A heifer is a heifer because she doesn't know what she's always doing, and so I have such value in my older moms who know what they're doing. They get pregnant every year. They have a baby every year.
They know how to raise their
They know
little
how to raise
their little
them. They're
babies.
teaching the young ones. They're teaching the heifers how to raise their babies. They're quite a family unit out there.
That's cool.
And so there's worth in that. And a lot of people are switching to South Poles that have done other breeds because they see the value of that.
Okay.
Of, hey, and we don't pull calves. Like,
Okay.
we're not pulling calves. They should be able to do that all on their own. I don't want to be out there handling that. You know,
Yeah.
that's time and money for me to be out there doing that.
So they take care of their calves
they
pretty
take
much.
care of their calves. We just had the first one of the season drop this morning, so maybe we can go check it out.
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so
Use the math.
if I'm doing that math right, it's tens of thousands of dollars just in cattle when you guys first got started, not even considering the land and the infrastructure cost and all of that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So you have your
Jeez.
land cost. You have several thousands of dollars into starting up a foundation herd. We have a little bit more in that because we chose to go with South Pole. We've done our research, and that was what we were wanting to do. We wanted something that was more heat tolerant. They're built to withstand the heat of the south.
Okay.
And so that was a big one. Plus, they're bred to fully manage themselves on grass alone. So they've got stronger grass genetics
Okay.
than other breeds. So they'll hold better at their weights. They'll forage better than other breeds. And so for us, that was an investment worth our while to have something that was needed less of our time, hands-on. Again, like I said, we don't intervene with calving. They just drop them and we go, oh, look, there's a cute calf.
That's so crazy.
You know, We're
Wow.
not doing anything real hands-on with them in that regard.
That's really cool. Is that your husband over there?
Yeah, so that's Shane
Nice.
out there. It looks like he just got done unrolling a round roll of hay. Grass season's just starting up for us. So they're still on hay for right now as we are trying to get some growth on the grasses.
Gotcha.
So he just unrolled a bale for them to munch on. But that group over there is our moms.
Okay.
And I think I can see that little newborn calf in the back over there.
Oh, yeah.
He'd be the only one out there right now, but
Okay.
we're just.
Is that the one that you said was born today?
He was born this morning, yeah.
This morning?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I'm actually not sure if it's a boy or girl. I haven't heard yet.
Okay. All right, gender reveal.
Yeah.
Love it.
Big gender reveal party.
So as we're coming out here, if you don't mind, like while we're kind of walking out to see the cattle, what was the big influence behind you guys deciding to just up and start this big operation of a cattle? It's like a huge risk, and
It is a huge risk, and honestly, we had no idea it was going to get this big. Initially, we started it just to feed ourselves.
okay.
Like I said, we at the time locally weren't able to source 100% grass-fed beef well done to the extent that we wanted it done to feed
Gotcha.
ourselves. We realized that our health really needed that in our diet, and so that's why we really started it and thought, well, maybe we can just sell a little beef on the side. And it is
Yeah, we see what happened with that.
Yeah, it's turned into more than that. And so then it was, okay, well, I kind of miss bacon. We had kind of given up grocery store meats well over a decade ago, like I said, closer to 14, 15 years ago, as we had just dove into that and our nutrition and our own health. And so we were like, but there is nutrition in pork when it is raised properly. The same with chicken and turkey. And so we knew we wanted to raise pasture raised with, and here's some of our laying hens here, with an organic diet and no soda nor corn. Hey boys.
Hey puppies.
Hi boys, what are you doing?
Goodness.
These guys are a new addition. Hi guys.
That's
They're
awesome.
only about 8 or 9 months old. They're huge.
Yeah, they are. Goodness
Yeah,
gracious.
their names Rooster and Hondo.
Rooster and Hundo?
Hondo, yep.
Hundo. I love it.
Yeah, so yeah, that's really why we started, was to feed ourselves.
Okay.
And then our community kind of, friends and family figured out and told friends and family, and just kind of grown from there.
Okay. And so have you guys noticed like any kind of difference in your health since you started kind of feeding yourselves off the land with, you know, grass-fed, grass-finished cattle and fresh farm chickens and pigs? Like what kind of changes have you noticed?
Absolutely. I think it's really quite amazing to see it in my parents, who are in their early mid 70s.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
if you look back at pictures, I don't have any for us today, but if we look back at pictures of them 20 years ago in their 50s compared to their 70s, it is night and day. I mean, they are way healthier now
Wow.
than they were then. And you see that little guy there.
Oh, look at him. Yeah.
And
Precious.
mom's doing her job. She sees us coming, and so she
She's
says,
like,
we're going to move over here. I'm going to make sure this baby's okay. But they'll really act like a big family and nursery out here.
That's
help
awesome.
take care of all of them.
So are all of these cows or are any of them bulls?
These are all cows.
Okay.
There may be 1 or 2 first-time heifers in here,
Gotcha.
but these are all of our moms.
Okay.
Our bulls aren't in right now. Our bulls are up kind of in front of my house there.
Okay.
It's not their season.
I see. Okay.
So they're hanging out doing nothing but getting fat.
Sure.
And their season will come here once calving season's coming to an end.
Okay.
So this is beginning of calving season. It usually rolls for about 2 months. For
Gotcha.
us.
Man, and so for the meat, do you guys harvest, is it only females? Do you harvest the bulls? How does that work?
So for us in our operation, because we're running registered South Poles, it does not make sense for us to finish out our heifers as beef.
Okay.
So we sell them live for those that want to either add to their existing herd or want to invest in doing South Poles. And so currently in our beef operation, all it is are males.
Okay.
Now we castrate them so they don't stay bulls, because they're here for 2 years and I don't need a whole bunch of bulls running
Yeah.
around. And we are trying to track our genetics, so we don't want just anyone lollygagging around breeding with anybody. So
Sure.
our bulls become steers,
Okay.
and that is what we take to finish.
Got it. Okay, very cool. So none of your heifers become beef, not on your farm.
Not here, only
Okay.
because it just does not make financial sense for us to do so. Plus, we are really passionate about the breed of South Pole and want to see those that want to get into it be able to have access to some heifers.
Okay.
And right now, it's kind of hard to get your hands on them.
Got it. So let me ask you this. So you got a big property here and a fair amount of cattle. What does a day in the life of a farmer on this kind of a farm look like?
Well,
For those who
you probably
maybe are
ask
sitting in the
Shane,
city.
who does more of that.
Okay.
My husband definitely does more of that. I am still highly involved in the farm. I'm just handling all of the office side of it. So
Got it, okay.
There's a ton of paperwork and office side of it that people don't realize. A lot of marketing, a lot of customer service. Plus, we have to schedule out all of our butcher dates 1 to 2 years in advance. So we're working.
My goodness.
We're constantly working on our calendar.
Okay.
We're working on our calving schedule, our breeding schedules. All of those sort of things are constantly go. So I kind of handle that. For Shane, as far as the actual physical labor of the day, one of the things that we found was really valuable to us was when we did start, we took the time to put in infrastructure that made our day-to-day, his day-to-day, more efficient.
Okay.
And the reasoning was because he was still working full-time off farm. He worked full-time off farm for about 8 years at the beginning of this farm.
Wow.
So
That seems to be a standard story for, as I'm talking to more farmers, most people are having to start full-time off farm work and then just
and we
grind it out.
encourage you to. Yeah.
Okay.
We encourage people to. Now, of course, remote jobs are much more available. We are like, hey, if you can get a remote job and work from the farm and make a great income
Heck
and
yeah.
come do this and learn and grow as to that place that you can then leave that job, we encourage you keeping your job as long as possible.
Okay.
That's what we did. We did it to the literally breaking point of
You couldn't take another day of having to handle both responsibilities. Okay.
And it got to the point where it didn't make financial sense to keep it.
Okay.
Because it was to the point that we were going to have to hire somebody to do this here.
I see.
And that didn't make financial sense to pay someone else to be here.
Yeah.
When he already knows what needs to be done when it needs to be
pay
done.
yourself.
Yeah. So we did a lot of things to make his day more efficient. And one of the things is like every 100 feet in these big pastures is a water hookup.
Oh, no way.
And so it's just like a manhole cover. And we could probably find one up here
Okay.
if you want to.
Yeah.
That really helped speed things up and made it easier for us to integrate other species to the farm. So it wasn't necessarily our plan at first, but it really has paid off so that we can easily rotate. We rotate our pigs. They get moved every 2 days to a fresh slice, just like the cattle are.
Okay.
You see the chickens out here.
Yeah.
They really could care less about electric fences. Let's see if
They just
right
take a
here
little pop and keep
we
moving.
almost passed it. Here it is. So these manhole covers are, like I
wow.
said, about every 100 feet, and they just run like straight down this huge pasture. And then Shane makes slices kind of according to the density of the grass season.
Okay.
And they're in all of them. So there's
Wow.
well over, I don't know, I think we lost count, 7,000 feet of water line here. But they make
Goodness.
for, I don't know if I can open it without a tool, but
Oh, okay.
there we go.
Oh, there you go.
So it's just a quick disconnect. So that flips open, and then we have quick disconnects hooked up.
And what does this help you be more efficient at? Just
Watering every day.
The
is
grass?
Watering the animals.
Oh, the animals. Okay.
Yeah, watering animals is
Okay.
a full-time job.
Wow, that's something you just don't think about unless you're doing
You don't think
it.
about it until you're doing it, and then you look up one day and you're going, it took me 4 hours today to water every animal here.
Golly.
And that's a lot of time is money,
Mm-hmm.
and we didn't have that time to spend because we were still building out a farm, and we still are. We're still adding in different other profitable sides of our business that need our time. And so if we could get all of his chores into a manageable time period, that's not the same every day or every season. He may have more time involved than other times, but we try to keep it manageable where it's just a 2 to 3 to maybe 4 hours at max a day. That frees him up to be able to manage the rest of the land. Any weed eating or fence repair or needing to work the cows or any of those sort of things that add up. If your daily chores are taking 8 hours a day, you don't have time to actually do all the other bazillion things that are going to come up when it comes to farming.
I see.
So efficiency is really important to us, and we were willing to spend a little bit more money and time on the upfront into really efficient infrastructure like fencing and watering and coops and things like that in order to maximize our time, which actually ultimately helps us make more money.
Wow. So are you guys anti-financing? Did you do everything with cash? Did you use financing? Like how does a person, like let's say there's one of the viewers, they want to get started on something maybe smaller or whatever, what advice would you have? Is there any government assistance, or maybe you should stay away from that? What do you think?
So we did go in as a 2-family income. So my parents kind of led the crusade and said, hey, you're young and you have the energy to do the work, and we're getting closer to retirement and we want to invest in this. So we both have time and investment into this. we felt led as a family unit to do as much of it debt-free as possible.
Okay.
And I do recommend that, but that meant that we had to wait 2 or 3 years for that cattle barn to be built or the hay barn to be
Sure.
built. We have utilized some state agriculture grant programs in the past to help us with different infrastructure things. They're getting a little more challenging to participate in, but they are an option, and they're different state to state. Of course, you can also do the Fed level of ag grants as well. They're even more complicated to get in, and
Okay.
typically you need a grant writer for those. But our biggest advice is to attempt to do it debt-free with cash flow as you can.
Got it. Okay. So like start where you can and then try to grow bigger as your cash flow allows.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, I recorded a podcast for a farming podcast this week, and they said, "What's your kind of same question?" And my advice was start small but aim big.
Okay.
So it's not that you can't get there; it's just that you can't get there all at once.
Sure.
And the overhead of farming on a day-to-day basis is high, no matter how hard you work to keep it efficient and low cost. It's just high. And so to have that pressure of an immense amount of debt added to you on top of regular expenses is quite a lot.
Sure.
So it was something that we personally just did not want to be weighed down by.
That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I could see how if you have this huge debt payment you're constantly having to make, like, it makes it harder to do infrastructure improvements. It makes it harder to, it just kind of probably takes the joy out of farming.
Exactly.
You know?
It was like are we going to sleep at night at all kind of thing.
Sure.
If we not only have this debt hanging over us, but we're over here and there's a storm coming and you're thinking about your livestock and, oh my gosh, did that animal die?
Sure.
There's loss, there's death. That is a reality of this.
Now, speaking of like loss and death, so for a lot of farm operations, it seems like this one included, you have these huge infrastructure and capital costs up front, and then you don't necessarily reap the rewards of that investment for a couple years. For cattle farming, do you guys have things like herd insurance or any kind of thing like that to help protect?
We don't.
Oh, man.
That is just that's the gamble. So you
Wow.
gotta kind of like a little bit of risk.
Okay.
You gotta kind of be comfortable with that. I mean, last year, for the first time in 10 years, like I said, those livestock guardian dogs are new.
Okay.
For 10 years, we've not needed livestock guardian dogs with our poultry. Last year, we had an just overabundance amount of skunks come into the area.
Oh, wow.
And we estimate that we lost throughout the year over 100 head of poultry.
Wow.
Something took out 40 of our duck layers, so we no longer in the duck egg business.
What?
Ducks are very expensive to purchase. There's nobody coming to bail us out.
That crazy.
Was our risk.
So y'all had to just eat that whole...
You just eat it.
Dang.
You just eat it and you go on and you figure out if you're going to keep going or not.
What would you say, like that situation, if you don't mind sharing, what would you say like a retail level loss that was? Like, what did y'all lose through that?
Well, it's kind of hard to put a monetary price on it, because if you want to calculate what we would have made off of eggs, and
like
how
future
long
value
those
and that
ducks
kind of
and
thing.
everything like that, but the value of those ducks was easily, at their age, and they were newer layers. If I was to have sold that duck live to somebody that wanted a laying hen, I would have easily sold that for $30 or $40 a piece.
Okay.
But then you take away the fact that I not only had the investment in raising that duck to a laying point, but now it's just gone and I'm not getting the eggs off of it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to put an actual number
because of the
on
future potential that you're losing.
Right. The income that we would have gotten off those eggs for years is
I
kind
see.
of just gone.
So it might be, the number might not be exorbitant just from the initial loss, but when you multiply that out over the course of time, that's like a significant
Right.
loss that you guys had to incur, and there's no insurance, there's no one coming to
insurance,
bail you
there's no
out.
one coming to bail you out.
Man, so those dogs have an important job then.
They do, and thus far they're doing a great job. They're still young, still
Okay.
figuring themselves out.
Still puppies.
Still babies, even though they're massive, but they're doing a great job. And like, we have
What
a
is that?
very loud chicken over here. Yeah, so we decided, well, it's time to add the dogs. Well, the dogs are an expense. We've gone without them this long because it's something else to feed.
Yep.
But it was do we add that expense or do we just keep taking losses?
I see.
So it was a decision that had to be made, and we chose to not get out of poultry and see if dogs would help.
Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely those things aren't even necessarily calculated into the price of our product, right?
Gotcha.
So
I imagine that's a tough thing. As I'm like thinking through this, it's probably tough as a farmer to like truly calculate numbers when it comes to what you're actually making profit, because there's so much that goes into it.
There's a lot of factors, and that's one of the things that is hard to see other farmers miscalculating what their worth is, what the product's worth. We try to do our best to be pretty diligent in it.
Okay.
And make sure that we do have some profitability in there.
Sure.
But some of the things are more profitable than others. What is your customer base willing to pay for? We have an amazing customer base. They show up and support us constantly, and
That's awesome.
They literally are the reason why we keep going. There's
Okay.
days where we think we're done, and
I see.
then we
Okay.
think of them and their children, and that they can eat our
They're
food.
dependent on you
They're
guys.
dependent. Yeah, we're one of the few locations that offers soy and corn-free, like chicken eggs and chicken and turkey and pork. And there are people and children with severe food allergies that this is the first time they've been able to eat meat in years.
Wow.
Or eggs, or their 2-year-old can't eat eggs, only our eggs, because of those food allergies of what's being input into the animal is being transferred to the end product.
Okay.
And so it's not that they're actually allergic to eggs or that they're allergic to pork.
They're allergic to the grain and the
They're
soy
allergic
and
to
that kind
whatever
of
the
stuff.
input was. Now, some people do have a true egg allergy, but a lot of it we're seeing, and the testimonies we've heard through our store of people that can now eat more and have more food freedom.
See, that's awesome.
That's what keeps us going.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, running a farm with all these cattle and chickens and pigs and all this, I'm sure you guys have probably had some crazy stories. What are some of the craziest stories y'all have experienced so far on the
Oh
farm?
my goodness. Some of the craziest stories. One day we woke up to about, I don't know, I can't even remember how many it was. It was like 8 or 10 totally finished hogs gone. They were just gone.
Just left.
They had left, or we thought maybe someone stole them. They were
Oh,
gone.
my
They were ready
goodness.
for butcher. We'd spent over 6 months feeding them organic soy and corn-free feed, so we had a
Oh,
lot of
wow.
money tied in them. And we woke up one morning and they were gone, and we spent all day searching for them. Couldn't find anything. Couldn't find a track. Nothing.
Oh my
We
goodness.
were done, exhausted, emotionally exhausted. Physically drained, and on a whim I looked at Shane and said, let's go out. It was just before dusk, just before the sun was going down, and I said, let's go out and check one more time. And they were just headed back up.
Oh, they just went on a
Standing at the
gallivant,
gate.
an
They
adventure.
were standing at the gate. They had tucked themselves down into woods. We probably drove by them 10 times. Our neighbor's game camera picked them up, and there was a picture of the pigs and us driving by, and like we couldn't see them the way they were camouflaged in.
Wow.
And it was a lesson learned, and now we can laugh about it. But it was terrifying at the moment. And they were just like standing at the gate like, hey, it's dinner time. Why did you stress about us being gone?
why
We're
are
going to come home
We're
for dinner.
coming home.
Yeah. So it was a lesson learned
Wow.
too of like, okay.
Don't stress too
we
hard.
probably didn't need to stress that much.
Okay, I guess that would be the first time they leave. You don't know if they're gonna come home or they
Like,
just.
I mean, they've never left. Like we've had
Yeah.
groups and groups of pigs here and have never had anything get out. And it was like a fluke in the fence. And they saw an opportunity and took it. And it was wild. It was a wild day. But it all worked out okay.
So I read on the website as well that you guys said you're not organic as a farm.
Correct.
Do you want to go into a little bit about what that's about, why you
Sure.
chose not to go organic, and how that works?
We didn't want government interference.
Okay.
So we're all about organic production. We have no problem if a farm is certified organic. Great, good for them. For us, we wanted to be held to our own standard. For us, it was what we feel like is a higher standard.
Okay.
And we wanted to connect on an individual level with the consumer. So full farmer transparency, and that's why our store is here on the farm too. Is farmers markets are great. But for us, we didn't just want you to take our word at the farmer's market. We wanted you to actually come out here and see that there is no pesticides, there's no herbicides. We're not using Roundup around the property. We're doing intensive rotational grazing. We're feeding what we say we're feeding. And to bring back that relationship that has been lost through the grocery stores. You no longer know the person raising your food, and we really wanted to bring that back. And we felt like if we had that relationship, the label's not necessary. We're not relying on a label anymore.
Because people know you. They come to your home.
Yeah, they come here. They know us. They know that we're wanting the best because we're feeding it to ourselves as well, not just them.
Yeah, it's funny. Now we got all this science coming out about how our food supply is just like, it's slowly poisoning the nation. Like, yes, we have access to all this food that's relatively cheap, though it's getting more expensive. But now we're starting to see these studies, like seed oils that are so highly processed and in every single thing you find in a grocery store nowadays almost. And, all these, the cows that are mass produced, they're raised on GMO grains, and Monsanto sprayed everything. And it's like, you would think that people would inevitably understand that that's going to eventually pay us back for taking the easy route. And that, I think it's starting to come around, but I don't know. There's so many agendas in the world now with trying to move away from meat, and this, it's just, it's crazy.
It is crazy. It's definitely a fight for food and for land. And if you can control that, you control the people, kind of thing. And so we're seeing that constantly. We really try to keep an eye on our state, at our state level laws, what's happening in the ag and the farming, what laws are trying to get passed, what's not trying to get passed. We have to do due diligence and keeping our eyes open to what is being passed and what's not passed. More regulations on farmers is not what we need. The farmer needs to have much more freedom to do what they need to do, and cheaper isn't always better. And for us, for our family, it was let's put an investment in our health on the front end, and maybe we're not going to be paying it on the back end. I don't know about you, but I don't want to live forever. I don't know if tomorrow's my day to go or not, but I know that I don't want to spend it in a prescription line or the doctor's office or waiting for an x-ray or an MRI or a scan or whatever. And those are useful, grateful tools when needed, but it seems as though everyone is needing them now. And we are sicker. And the reality is that the way we've been farming in this country, it's only been this way for less than 100 years. We've all been guinea pigs. This isn't tradition. This is still a very new way. The conventional way is a very new way of farming and feeding people. And a lot of our farming practices in the conventional world in the United States are banned in other countries like Europe.
Isn't that crazy?
Like that. And so we've got to open our eyes and be aware and educate ourselves as to what we're putting in our bodies and where it came from. So
it's almost like there's a design to the way things work.
It's kind of like maybe God knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
But,
very cool.
So we're just trying to bring it back to bringing people honest food through an honest relationship with their farmer. And we're not perfect. We don't have it all figured out. We're still learning as we go when it comes to farming. But our heart is to serve our community and feed them well. We just can't do it cheap. That's what we've realized, is we can't do it cheap. And it has to be a priority for the consumer.
How many total acres do you guys have?
We're now just over 150.
Oh my goodness.
And wildly, we need more.
Really?
Yeah, we're on our max. We would like to be able to produce more product meats for our community.
Is it just because you need more grazing space for
We need
more
more
cattle?
grazing space. Yeah.
Okay.
We can't put any more pressure on the land without destroying it. And the whole point of what we do is to restore it. So
I see.
that's not possible right now.
Oh, this is a really cool setup.
Yes, this is the outdoor bathhouse. It's still winterized right now, but
Sure.
everything gets mowed and cleaned up and put out here in a few weeks, actually, as it gets a little warmer.
And you guys Airbnb this out? Or?
We do, yeah.
Okay.
It's on Hip Camp as well. We've been doing this. We built this the spring of COVID, actually, the pandemic.
No way.
So they're just open air. No electricity, but there is hot running water, running toilet, all those kind of fun things. You're welcome to go in. It's like it's kind of.
Oh, just push it open?
Yeah,
Okay.
open.
Wow. This is really cool. And so in the summertime, you would just come and you'd stay in here.
Yeah, it's
and
really busy spring and fall. People love it. We do it in the summer as well. There's a queen and bunk beds, and then there's a cot. So technically, you can do 5 in each cabin. But whether it's 1 of you or 10 of you, you rent the whole space to yourself. So
oh,
we
wow.
don't put you down here with strangers. It's
Okay.
totally private experience.
So you'll have this whole area.
You have the whole area to
Wow.
yourself. You can do a fire. We have a grill and a camp stove that come out as well for the season, and hammocks. And yeah, it's a really fun space.
This is really cool. And so what percentage or portion of revenue comes from this kind of stuff versus the cattle farming and the animal farming?
Well, it's kind of separated, so it's
Okay.
kind of hard for me to give you an actual percentage there. But it is definitely beneficial. I can say that for sure. It
Okay.
helps us be able to take what we try to do is take whatever profit we do get from the farm. We've chosen not to actually pay ourselves.
Oh,
So we've
okay.
chosen to feed it back into the farm so that the farm can keep being very sustainable. We can grow as we need to. We can fix and maintain as we need to. We have a loss real 1 year. We're not totally upside down. We have just, for us, have found that that's a better cushion.
Okay.
And so we try not to really live off of that a whole lot. And we utilize more of our camping and things like that as more of our
Your living
regular-
expenses.
Yeah, our living expenses. And
Okay.
so that's what we've kind of done here, and it's a little different. But until we feel like the farm is really set up and profitable enough, we've just chosen to keep feeding it back into itself
I see.
in hopes that it can feed the next generation, right? So,
Yeah.
So one of our sons maybe wants to become a farmer, then there's actual
There's a
living
leg for it to
wage,
stand on it, yeah, by itself.
by itself. So
I see.
that's kind of how we are investing in the next generation, is we've just chosen to live below our means.
Yeah.
Live comfortably and get to do what we get to do. But we've chosen to just pay for ourselves where we have to pay ourselves.
Got it. Okay. Well, that's really cool.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground so far, and guys, it is so cold out here.
It's really
We're playing it off smooth, but I'm freezing. Are you freezing?
It's pretty chilly. I'm losing fingers.
Yeah, my fingers only move so fast now. But before we wrap up, I do want to make sure I let the audience know, even though there's not a lot of them right now.
Yeah.
I let them know how they can find you guys, how they can purchase products from you. Like, where do you want to point people to? Anyone who finds this video.
Absolutely. Our website's the best place to go. That's crossingcreeks.com. That's where you can really learn about what we are doing, how you can stay with us or shop with us.
Okay.
We've also just recently, last summer, we started our own nonprofit here.
Oh, no way.
It's still new. It's getting out there, but it's educational based. So we want to educate the next generation about farming, but we also are really hoping to step into a place where that nonprofit can support other farms. So we would love to do our own kind of grant program for that. So it's called The Bridge at Crossing Creeks, and you can donate to that online. That's very helpful. So yeah, our websites are the best place, but we are also on Instagram and Facebook. under Crossing Creeks Markets, where you can follow the store more, and then my pages as well would be Crossing Creeks Farm. And we do have a YouTube channel. It's really for our email newsletter group.
Okay.
And that is really where you get the weekly information about what we're doing, our restock information, when things are opening up for the season. But you can join that on our website.
Awesome. Anything else for us or the audience before we get going?
Support your local farm.
Support your local
If
farmer.
it's not us, find another one. They all need it.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, Elizabeth.
so much
I
for
really
having us,
appreciate
Riley.
it. This has
Yeah.
been super informative, and hopefully we continue getting to do these farm videos and show off people's stories, their operations, the life of farming, and I really appreciate you having us out.
We appreciate you focusing on farms. They
Yes,
need it.
ma'am. All right. Well, take it easy. Thank
Thanks.
you.
Thanks.